Today we continue our championship cases, and this is where it gets interesting. We've gone through all the favorites. We've gone through the guys with multiple wins, and even a couple guys with one wins, but who have had decent years. Now it's getting to the interesting part where you really got to make a case. Like, you really got to... It's going to be a little bit difficult, more difficult than like Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, even guys like Alex Bowman and Ryan Blaney. So from Byron on to DiBenedetto, it's going to be a little tougher for me to make these arguments, but I'm going to try my best, and today is William Byron. It's going to be interesting, I'm telling you, but William Byron just got his first career win last week at Daytona. Before that, he was on the playoff bubble. Has not, in my opinion, has not had a great year. Other than that win, it's been a meh year. The year before, 2019, they were having a better year than they were in 2018. They were safely in on points. No wins, but they were safely in on points, if I remember correctly. They had some really good runs, had some top fives, top tens. This year, 2 top fives, 9 top tens. It's a little disappointing. I thought he was going to have a breakout year. I didn't think he was going to go out and win the championship or win 6 or 7 races, but I was thinking maybe 2 to 3 wins, top 10 in points or something like that. But definitely a step back from last year, but he did get that first career win because that is crucial for 2 reasons. 1, playoff points. He now has 5 playoff points. Number 2, momentum. I believe in momentum. I think that's definitely a factor, and they had a top 5 run at Dover before that. So they got a little positive momentum rolling here into this first round of the playoffs. And if you remember, well, I guess we're jumping into it. The first round of the playoffs, it starts out at Darlington, and he had a pretty good run in one of the Darlington races earlier this year before crashing, blowing a tire, I think it was, won the opening stage. And Hendrick Motorsports as a whole ran really good at Darlington in the beginning of the year, so I think that's promising. I'm going to have to make a case for him to get out of the first round just because his point situation and also his consistency situation. So when it comes to these 3 tracks, I think when it comes to compared to getting out of the first round, he's going to have to go against Austin Dillon, Eric Almirola, Cole Custer, Clint Bowyer, Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch, Matt DiBenedetto, even his teammate Alex Bowman. I think that's where it gets interesting, is that you got to put 3 races together. You can't afford a bad race when you're this close in points. You can't afford a bad race. You can't bank on other guys having bad races, but I do slightly like this for Byron for 2 reasons. 1, because he had a decent Darlington run in the spring, and also because 2 of the 3 tracks, Richmond and Bristol, are 750 races. And as I've talked about before, Hendrick Motorsports this year, they're much better on the 750 tracks, the short tracks, road courses, than they are on the 550, mile-and-a-half, 2-mile intermediate tracks. They are much better with the high horsepower, low downforce, short tracks. You look at Martinsville, Bristol, Daytona road course. You look at all those tracks, and they do much better with the higher horsepower. So I think that's an advantage for him. And you look at some of his competitors. Cole Custer's been all over the place this year. He got that win at Kentucky. He's had a top 5 at Indianapolis, but he's also had some terrible performances. He's had some 25th place finishes. So Byron's going to outrun Custer, I'm pretty sure. Same thing. Austin Dillon's been having a decent year. He's got some top 10s, even a few top 5s outside the win. But he's too inconsistent in my mind, too. And then you look at guys like Bowyer and Almirola. Bowyer, not a great season, in my opinion. Only 7 top 10s, 2 top 5s. He's been inconsistent as well. I think Byron, as long as he just outruns those guys, that should be their goal. I mean, obviously go for race wins and stuff, but if it comes down to it, just try to outrun 4 guys. And I think the 4 you got to look at are Dillon, Custer, and Bowyer for sure. And the 4th would be, I'd say, DiBenedetto or DiBenedetto. You just got to outrun 4 guys. So I think Byron can outrun 4 guys in this first round. And this schedule, it's slightly his advantage because of that Hendrick 750 versus 550, but it's going to be close. But I think he gets out of the first round. You guys saw I picked him to get out of the first round. So yeah, looking at the second round, Las Vegas, Talladega, and the Charlotte Roval. 2 wild cards once again. I think that is going to play to his advantage because he may fall behind. He may not have that points. He may not have any. He's not going to have any points advantage, but he may be in a close points battle. And you look at Las Vegas, And I think they got a top 10 in the spring, so you just got to do that again. Talladega, they are the most recent winner at a super speedway, but Talladega is still unpredictable. There's still like a 50% chance you crash. Don't bet on winning at Talladega. That is not the right thing to do. But the Charlotte Roval, I tell you what, William Byron is an underrated road racer. You look at some of his results. They've gotten poles, they've had really good cars, but the situation they've been in is that they had to points race. So with the stages and the way it's set up, they had to stage race versus big picture winning the race. So they win stage 1, they fall behind in stage 2, they get pinned in 13th or something, and then they end up with a 10th place finish at best. So I want to see how that team can do contending for a win on a road course, how they can put a strategy together. I think that's another major factor. Chad Knaus is a 7-time champion crew chief. How can he help William Byron making some pit calls, helping adjust the car, giving William Byron what he needs? I think that's going to be a crucial factor to if they can make a championship run. So let's say round 2 goes super chaotic with the Roval and Talladega, and Byron gets out. I really think it's going to be tough for him to get out, but let's say he gets out for the purpose of this video. Round of 8, no question about it. It's a must win. It's going to be really hard to make up 50 points on Harvick and Hamlin. It's going to be hard to make up 30 on Keselowski. It's going to be hard to make up 15 to 20 on Logano, Elliott, Truex, Blaney, all those guys. So it's going to be tough. You look at these tracks. Kansas, they pulled a strategy call there. They did pretty decent in the summer. I think they got a top 10, led some laps. So that's an opportunity for a win. Texas, Hendrick struggled at Texas, I feel like, ever since the repave, with the exception of Johnson's win in 2017. And Jimmy Johnson's the only one who's done good, and that's not saying much because he hasn't done good recently. So, yeah, Martinsville's got to be their best opportunity. It's a 750 track, and William Byron finished second last year in this race, so it's going to be a must-win, guys. There's no other way of saying it. They can't make up those points on those guys. Even if, let's say, Chase Elliott and Martin Truex Jr. both have terrible rounds, even if he's in a close points battle with those guys, he's still 5th or 6th on the grid. And also, I would be much more confident in one of those guys winning to get in than William Byron. So I think it's going to come down to, if he does make it to the round of 8, it's going to be a must-win in my opinion. He doesn't have the points. He doesn't have the consistency. They're going to have to win to get there. And then we go to the championship at Phoenix. As I said, I'm going to say this again. If he's the only Chevy in the championship 4, they're going to have all their stuff invested in that car. All the teams are going to be helping William Byron. And once again, it's a 750 track. Hendrick Motorsports has excelled at those type of tracks this year. You saw Chase Elliott run really good there in the spring. But once again, it's going to be tough. I think they're going to have a really good car. But here's where the advantage is if they do get there. Chad Knaus. We've seen Chad Knaus make some calls in the past that have won Jimmy Johnson races. We've seen him make some crazy calls, okay? He's a 7-time champion crew chief. I trust him. Let's say it's happened in the championship, 2016. Joey Logano and Carl Edwards get into a wreck. Jimmy Johnson goes from 3rd to 4th in the championship, looking like he's going to be meh in that race, and he ends up winning the whole thing because 2 guys wrecked each other. That could happen. Let's say restart 5 laps to go. Hamlin and Harvick, someone dive bombs into the corner to go for the championship lead, takes each other out. William Byron's your champ or something like that. So the way this format works, if Byron is to get there, there's a legit chance. There's a legit chance they could take each other out. But in conclusion, first round, you got to outpoint 4 guys. That's simple. Round 2, it's going to be a little more difficult than just saying, hey, I can outpoint these guys because I'm closer to them in points. You will be in a little bit of a deficit most likely. So you're straight up going to have to do good. You're going to have top 10 runs in all 3 races. Heck, maybe even get yourself a win. In that round of 8, you're not going to have those playoff points unless you win all the races up to this point, Willie B. So you got to win. Any one of these 3 races, you got to win. And then Phoenix, anything can happen. So that's the championship case for William Byron and the 24 team. Man, these next ones are going to be interesting. Austin Dillon, Cole Custer, Clint Boyer, Matt DiBenedetto, Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch, all those guys. Oh, man, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very similar to this. I'll tell you where I think they're favored, where they're not favored. So, yeah, we'll continue these maybe tomorrow, maybe next week.